Okay. Look, before we start this video, I do want to say yes, I am wearing the same shirt as the last video. It is a completely different day. I washed it, okay? So no, I'm not nasty. I washed the shirt. Let's get on with the video. Hey everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. My name is Adrian, this is Uno, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk About Shit. That was shit. Cue the intro. So for those of you that didn't know, Netflix released a Dahmer miniseries, and it's about 10 episodes long, and it's a very bone-chilling experience. I watched it, and I just gotta say, what the fuck did I watch? Holy shit. Alright, so before I ever even watched the series, I only knew a little bit about Jeffrey Dahmer. I had seen the movie My Friend Dahmer that has Ross Lynch in it. I think he did a great job in the film, one of his better performances. And that's pretty much all I knew about Jeffrey Dahmer. I did see like this one commentary video about Dahmer, but I completely forgot everything that was said about it. So I only really remembered the events of the movie, and the My Friend Dahmer movie only really focuses on the whole like life of Dahmer, like when he was younger, during school, up until the lead up to his first killing. So that's what that movie focuses on. So that's pretty much all I knew. I knew he was a murderer. I just didn't know how horrific the things he did were. I had no clue. So this series brought light of that to me. Now the way I found out about the show was actually, I had heard about it through Instagram, and I had also seen like some YouTube videos about it, but I hadn't watched those videos, so I only saw the thumbnails and all that stuff, and I was like, oh, a new Dahmer series, alright, cool. It wasn't until I actually was at work, and one of my coworkers, like while we were on break, she was like, oh, have you been watching the new Dahmer series? And I was like, nah, I don't think I'm gonna watch it, you know. And then she was like, no, you have to watch it. It's amazing. It's great. Watch it. And I was like, And then she basically explained to me why you should watch it. She was like, oh, the series it basically covers his life from beginning to end, like from the second he was born to the day he died, and like it talks about literally every single thing he did and like what it led up to his arrest and even to his death. And you should definitely watch it. And I was like, all right, okay, I'll check it out. Also, the main reason that I was also down to watch it was because Evan Peters was in it. And I really like Evan Peters. I liked him as Quicksilver. I liked him in the first Kick-Ass. I don't think he was in the second one, but he was in the first one. I haven't watched American Horror Story, but I have seen clips of him in American Horror Story. So I was like, you know what, bro? Like, 100% I'm down to watch Evan Peters as Dahmer. So one night I decided, you know what, finally I'm gonna watch it. That was about like 3 days ago. I want to say about 3-4 days ago is when I decided to watch Dahmer. So I went ahead, I sat down, and watched it on my phone. All I gotta say is, wow, that first episode, shit. Now listen, first of all, the show has a terrible name, Dahmer Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story. It's a really weird name. I don't understand why they couldn't have just called it Monster, the Jeffrey Dahmer story, or simply call it Dahmer. I don't know, like, whatever. It's a weird name, but it works, I guess. It works because it's clearly a very popular show. Anyway, so yeah, the first episode. I'm the type of person that can handle a lot of, like, not just gore, but like, I can handle a lot of intense things. I can handle a lot of intense things, a lot of anxiety-inducing things. I can handle all of that and not have nightmares. And that is one thing that I will say. Watching this show, it never caused me trouble going to sleep. It never caused me any nightmares. Because again, I just have a really high tolerance for that type of things. But for example, I do know a lot of people that it did cause like nightmares, especially like the girl that recommended it to me. She had nightmares because of the series. A lot of people that I've watched their reviews of the show did have nightmares about it. So I kind of already knew I wasn't gonna have nightmares about it because again, I just have that high tolerance for stuff, even though I don't watch horror movies. That's the thing. I'm not really that big into like the horror genre or the thriller genre even. But I've always found the Dahmer story interesting and wanted to learn more about it, so that's why I watched it. Anyway, first episode. As everybody knows, if you have seen the series, it is incredibly fucking, like, it's hard to watch it. And the first episode does not shy away from it. It just puts you right into it. And I will be explaining what goes on in the series. I'm just gonna have Nelson put like a spoiler warning in the beginning. So basically, the first episode focuses on Dahmer's what would have been his last victim, his survivor, the person that ended up getting him arrested. You know, he goes to the bar, picks this guy up, brings him back to his apartment, and basically is doing this whole lead up thing to eventually kill him, right? And it was, I don't know how to explain it, man. First off, there's a part that you guys need to notice. If you haven't noticed this yet, go back to the first episode and watch it. I forgot around which time frame it was, but basically it's in the first episode. It's when he opens the fridge. I think it's already when he's already brought over Tracy to his apartment. When he opens the fridge to get a beer, on the inside, if you look carefully, it's something that you're not supposed to notice, but if you look carefully, there is a head all the way at the bottom of his fridge. The only reason that I managed to recognize that and see it was because I was reading the subtitles. I was reading the subtitles, so I saw the head at the bottom because the subtitles are at the bottom, and I was like, I had to pause it for a second because that genuinely fucked me up. The fact that, like, it's little details like that that makes the show great. The fact that I wasn't even supposed to notice that was like, wow. But anyways, the first episode, really fucking intense. You need to watch it for yourself. I'm not really gonna go deep into spoilers, but you need to watch it for yourself. And this whole series as a whole, for a while, I thought it was just gonna be them explaining Dahmer's story, because for like the first 5 episodes, that's what it does. It shows you Dahmer's story, as to how he got to these killings, showing you some killings here and there. But the 2 episodes where this series was elevated to me, if it wasn't for these 2 episodes, the show, even though Evan Peters' performance is great, the show would have been just good if it wasn't for these 2 episodes, which really elevated the whole show for me. So there's 2 episodes. There's one episode where, and again, this is where the spoilers are gonna get heavy. There's one episode where he picks up a 14-year-old boy that's outside of a liquor store named Conorak. I think Conorak is one of his most famous killings, like one of his most recognized, because he killed a 14-year-old boy. He brought him home, seduced him, drugged him, and then drilled. What he would start, I don't know if he started with Conorak or if he was already doing this before Conorak, but he would basically drill into his victims' brains, take parts of the brain out, and pour acid to basically make living zombies. Obviously, none of them survived it. None of his victims survived these experiments. And Conorak, it was so sad because before Conorak, Dahmer had actually molested one of his older siblings, right? So Conorak already knew about Dahmer. He already knew about him, which to me is also like, dude, like, why would you follow the guy that like molested your brother? But he does explain it. I'm not trying to put fault on Conorak, all right? That I'm just saying that, like, it doesn't, I personally wouldn't have followed the guy that molested my brother. You get what I mean? I wouldn't have done that. But again, it's not his fault. He was a 14-year-old boy. He didn't really know the cruel world that was outside of it, right? So he basically, Dahmer picks up this guy by offering to buy him liquor and then brings him back to his apartment. Conorak points out, like, you don't know who I am, do you? And then Dahmer's like, nah. And then he's like, you molested one of my older brothers. Like, I know who you are, right? And it was so sad, like just watching watching Jeffrey drug him, and basically like you just the saddest part about, like, the worst part about watching this entire series is that whenever you see him get a new victim, you know that they are not gonna make it, that this is their final night, this is like gonna be one of their final nights alive, which makes it worse. But yeah, that Connor Boy episode, that whole episode is just so hard to watch, because it's like, you know, I have a brother that's 16 years old. He was 14 years old only 2 years ago. And I'm pretty sure if you're an older sibling, you have this mentality too. Your sibling may be 16, 17, 18, doesn't matter. You still see them as a little kid, right? I also have a younger sister. So like, I'm just imagining, what if my brother or what if my sister were this kid? I would not know what the fuck to do if that happened to one of my siblings. Like, that just fucked me up watching that episode. And then I don't know if it's the next episode or the episode after the episode of Conrack, but it's an episode called Silenced, which focuses on Jeffrey's victim, Tony Hughes. And this guy is deaf, right? This guy is deaf. He, you know, and it focuses the entire episode around him, his life. He's a 31-year-old college student / model trying to make it big out there in the world, you know. And he already has the difficulty of being deaf, black, and gay. Dude, back then, that was like the combo for you to not make it in life. But he persevered anyway. He was like, no, fuck this. I'm going to make a name out of myself. I'm going to do this. And yeah, he went ahead and did that shit, right? But eventually, he met up with Dahmer. The thing about this episode that made it even more sad is that him and Jeffrey were in a genuine relationship up until Jeff would kill Tony. They were in a genuine relationship, which made me think, listen, it seemed like Jeffrey was finally gonna stop killing and actually settle down and be with this guy. But that wasn't the reality. And he ended up killing Tony. And it's so sad to see that happen. One thing that this show does do really good is the fact that it manages to be horror without gore. Just how gore cannot be horror. Like, gore can be gore and not horror. And horror can be horror without gore. It goes both ways. And this show does that amazingly, right? What this show does, instead of showing you the actual like gore, it does show you like the sounds and like Jeffrey when he's about to do it. And then it switches to his neighbor's point of view, and you just hear the noises through the vent, the screaming, the drilling, the cracking, the sawing. You hear it, and it makes you be even more terrified, because like it puts you in the point of view of the neighbor, of like, oh my god, these things are happening next door. And she would, the sad thing is that she would try and call the cops, but since she's a woman and black, the cops didn't listen to her. They basically turned a blind eye and let Jeffrey get away with all of this, which is something that pisses me off. Because the thing is that when you watch the series, you recognize Jeffrey wasn't really all that smart. Like, he was a smart individual, but he wasn't that smart either with it. He should have been caught so many times. And there were so many opportunities for people to put an end to him. But they let him get away with this. Because the cops, quite frankly, the system failed. The system failed the people it was supposed to protect. It's a tale as old as time. And Jeffrey, honestly, shouldn't have been this much of a big serial killer if the cops had just listened. That's what pisses me off. But yeah, and then the series as a whole is fucking phenomenal. Something that I kept catching myself doing was that for a second, like the show is really well, and obviously it's a dramatized version of the events. It does a good as a job to try to stay truthful to the real life events, right? But it's still a dramatized version of the events that happen, right? So a lot of the times I would catch myself like not seeing this as a story being told of true events, but as a regular TV show, like true crime TV show, like You, for example, on Netflix. You know, the show You, it's about, you know, Joe Goldberg, a serial killer, and like he like not necessarily a serial killer, but he does kill people, and like I would be on Joe's side. And so that's what I ended up catching myself doing with Dahmer, being on Jeffrey's side. But then I would stop and realize, holy shit, wait, these are things that actually happened. There's a real person that did this to real people. No, fuck this guy. So that's something that this show does do really well, that it's just like, holy shit. Another thing that this show does do really well as well is the audio and like the use of sound. The score is amazing in this series. And the use of audio to like tell the tale throughout the story. Whale sounds are something that's very present throughout this entire show, which in my opinion makes it a little bit more creepy than showing the actual screaming. It's terrifying, man. And then when Jeffrey finally gets arrested, it's satisfying, but at the same time, it's not that much of a satisfying ending either. Even though he does die in the end and everything, it's like these families still suffered so much because of this man that it doesn't matter whether he's been put in jail or if he's dead, because he still did what he did, and he put that life trauma on all of them. So yeah, that's pretty much the series, man. So yeah, my final verdict on the series, it's a really good show. It's extremely fucked up, but it's a really good show. It does not shy away from telling you what happened. And something that I also really enjoyed about the show is that it tells the story of it tells it from every single point of view. It tells it from like it tells it from Jeffrey's point of view, the neighbor's point of view, and the victim's point of view, but not as if you're them. It's like as if you are watching this happen. It's like if you're a third person watching this happen, but in their like viewpoint of it, if you get what I mean. That's something that this show does really great, and I'm glad they didn't try to do it as a Jeffrey's point of view, because that would have been just completely unfair to everybody that has suffered because of him. So yeah, that's pretty much been it. Holy shit, that voice crack was crazy. That's pretty much been it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you thought of the Dahmer series. Do you think that after this, that's it? There shouldn't be any more Dahmer like media? Or do you think that it's fair to keep making more movies and series off of this guy? This is actually the 7th form of media that has been made of Dahmer. You know, like movie and TV show wise. So let me know what you guys think of that. And besides that, that's pretty much been it. I've been Adrian. This is Zuno. Twisms. Life's no fun without a good scared.